Happy Friday, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our third episode of How To with Ziad. So before we get started, I just want to say that the information that we'll be sharing is for general information only and is not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. So to determine the best course of action for you, please contact your financial advisor. So without further ado, let's get Ziad on here and let's start talking about how you can be a savvy saver. Hi, Ziad.
Hey Mia, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm so glad that we're able to do our third episode of this series.
Yeah, really excited, really excited.
So why don't you go ahead and give us an overview of what we'll be talking about today?
Yeah, so a lot of what we do as financial advisors is we're here to help make sure that our clients are building and growing their wealth. And one of the easiest ways to do that is by saving consistently and making sure that you're saving. At the end of the day, it's not really about how much you make, but how much you can save that really counts. And so want to just talk through different details, different aspects surrounding saving, what you can and should be doing to put yourself in a better position in the future.
All right, so let's start out with the basics. How much should I be saving?
Yeah, so we typically recommend that you save at minimum 10 to 20% of your gross income. And so, 10% is really more of a minimum number you want to shoot for. 15%, you're doing okay. 20%, you're doing a pretty good job. Anything above that, you're really putting yourself in a great position in the future. But that 10 to 20% is solid. Obviously, everyone has different income amounts, and so we don't want to say, hey, it's X dollars. You want to think in percentages when it comes to that. Just to give you a good example, if you're making $100,000, you want to save about 20,000 of that for the year, right? That's around 1,650 a month, and that's solid.
Now, if I'm having trouble saving at the end of the month, just after all of my expenses between my rent, maybe a car payment, how can I be better at saving and start to save
Yeah,
more?
yeah, and I get that all the time, and I had actually the same issues before. When I started out working and bringing in income, it's really easy to spend that money that's in your bank account. I think a lot of people, they treat savings as more of an added benefit at the end of the month. Whatever's left over, that's what I save in the bank, and we call it good. But really the best thing that you can do, and one of the things that I encourage all of my clients to do, is something that I like to call paying yourself first, right? And so instead of having your savings be whatever's left over at the end of the month, whenever you get a paycheck, you take a portion of that paycheck and you immediately put it towards your savings, right? Instead of treating savings as this, like I say, added benefit, you treat it as an expense. You're treating it as you would rent, as you would your electricity bill, your gas. It's something that is necessary to account for rather than something that's a leftover afterthought. And so paying yourself first is a great strategy to take on. And also, it frees up what I like to call guilt-free spending. When you pay yourself first, you've already done the saving firsthand. And so as long as you're living within your means, everything else that you can spend or everything else that you have can be spent on whatever you'd like, right? Go out to dinner, go on a trip, go on a vacation. As long as you're living within your means, that's for you, right? And so
I
I
like the
always
idea of
encourage.
guilt-free spending.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to think about it as much. I know everyone's different. Obviously, some people like to really track their expenses and see what they're spending on. I personally, it takes too much time out of my day to really track every single expense that I make. And so I just put a mandatory set amount of dollars that I'm saving every month, and the rest I can spend on whatever I like.
So this is really just a more mindless way to do so.
Exactly, exactly. You just make those savings automatic.
I love it. So where should I
Yeah.
be keeping these savings? So should I be keeping them in the bank? Because I'm kind of more risk averse, So,
hmm Yeah. Saving in the bank is great. You want to save some money in the bank, especially to build up an emergency fund, or a rainy day fund. Having that money in the bank you can use for, or you can have for any unexpected life emergencies, right? Like if you get laid off, which I know a lot of people have been over the past few months. If you end up having to go to the hospital, you end up in a car crash or something, you don't want to have to dip into your investments um, to really pay for those. And so you have that cushion in the bank to
mhm.
make sure that you can hold over through and transition through those times. And so normally recommend, saving 3 to 6 months of expenses, but anything outside of that emergency fund, you want to get invested, right? And I think a lot of people think, well, hey, the bank is safe. Hey, the bank is secure. I'm not going to be losing money there. But what a lot of people forget to account for is inflation, right? And so a lot of what inflation is just as time goes on, the costs of goods and services, they get a lot more expensive. You think about a movie ticket 30, 40 years ago, when our parents were buying movies tickets, it was probably $4 or $5, right? And
Mm-hmm.
nowadays it's, you're breaking the bank to go to the movies and it's 15 to $20. And so
Yep, it's too
that's
bad
natural.
Movie Pass had to go away.
I know. Oh my goodness. I took advantage of that so much.
I know,
I
no,
love
I did
movie pass.
too.
Yeah.
So you keep bringing up this idea of an emergency fund. How much should I be putting into the emergency fund?
Yeah. Like I said before, 3 to 6 months of fixed expenses is a
Okay, yes.
great number. You want to, if you're bringing in a more consistent income, your salary, that's a lot more consistent, then saving around that 3 month range is totally fine. Beyond, if you're maybe on the other end of the spectrum though, where you're more project based, your income fluctuates month to month a lot more, you want to save closer to that 5 to 6 month range instead. You want to have a bit more of a base in case you do have a month, and I have some clients who work in sales specifically, those are more commission based, that income fluctuates a lot more. And so you want to save more in that 5 to 6 month end, because if you do have a low month, then you have those savings to help shore up and pay for any expenses that you might not have been prepared to pay for with that lower month.
So all of this sounds good in theory, but let's say that I'm
Mm-hmm.
barely scraping by and, consider the amount that I'm able to put away is going to be very small. Is it
Mm-hmm.
worth it to be putting that small amount away still?
Yes, most definitely. Even if it is a small amount, any savings is better than no savings. The last thing you want is to have that unexpected life emergency come up, or and have a scenario where you don't have anything saved. A lot of majority of people in this country can't even pull out a $500 emergency save, a $500 emergency for an expense that they weren't expecting, right? And so any little bit counts. Obviously, you want to try and save as much as you can. And that's what we're here for as advisors, is we're here to work with you to find a savings plan that works for you and is comfortable for you while still being able to, live the life that you have now and plan for your future moving forward.
And I think you kind of touched on this earlier, but if my income is inconsistent, I'm a performer, someone working in the gig economy, then I should just be putting more away on during the months that I'm
Mm-hmm.
earning more.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking of how
Exactly.
should
Yeah.
I thinking of it as a percentage, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when I work with clients who have a bit more of an inconsistent income, what we like to do is set up rules. So either we'll set it up so that you're saving simply a percentage of your income. So if you're making a little bit less one month, you're going to be saving a little less that month, but then that's made up with the months that you are making a lot more, you're going to be saving a lot more. And so that works really well for a lot of clients. And then also, if that's not necessarily the best option, I set up a rule with clients where you want to set maybe a smaller dollar amount every month to be saving consistently, but then when the rest of your savings is going to be going into your bank account, and once that bank account reaches a certain dollar amount, then you take a lump sum and you get that and you contribute that into your investment account or retirement account or whatever it may be, so that you can get that money growing a little bit for you.
Okay. And when I'm thinking about saving, I'm mainly thinking about, buying a new car or, eventually getting a house.
Yeah.
But I'm in my early 20s right now. Do I need to be saving for retirement as well?
Most definitely. I totally understand where you're coming from, especially being a younger advisor and a younger professional as well. Retirement is something that, is decades away, and a lot of the times it's more of an afterthought, and because it's so far away, it's so hard to really think of, hey, why is this a priority for me? But
Right.
the earlier you save for retirement, the better position you are going to be in. And that goes with any investment goal that you have. But taking retirement specifically, if you just missed 5 years of saving and investing your money, that could lose you out on hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars come retirement. And so it's getting the ball rolling earlier, using time as your biggest asset is the best thing that you can do. And so it might seem small now, but it'll pay dividends in the future.
Okay, so if I start to make more money, do
Mm-hmm.
I continue contributing the same amount that I have been contributing?
No, you want to increase those savings.
Okay.
And, if you're making more and you're still saving the same amount as you were if you're making less, then that's a bad sign. You want to try and continue to increase those savings as you increase your income and your lifestyle. And so, the more you can save, and I stress it all the time, the more you can save, the better position you are going to be in the future, the better position you're going to put yourself in. And so always try to increase those savings.
So kind of nearing the end, what do you think are some easy tips that we can tell everyone watching,
Yeah.
give a heads up so that they can avoid when they are trying to save money and build their wealth?
Yeah. I know this sounds so simple and easy and something that we hear all the time, but really avoiding living outside of your means is the best thing that you can do. I think a lot of people, when they get a raise, a pay raise, or they get a lump sum of money and they have the ability to upgrade their lifestyle, they do, right? As they should. It's, that's why you get those raises, but you want to be cognizant of whether it's too much of an upgrade that you're doing. If you're buying a new car, buying a new home, buying new clothes, all these kind of things, and you get used to this high quality lifestyle, and all of a sudden your income goes down or your money starts running out, then it's really tough. And I've seen it a lot with people where it's tough to adjust back to that lesser lifestyle so that you can continue to save and make sure that you're in a financially healthy position moving forward. And so being very cognizant of that, taking a step back and making sure that, hey, am I overspending? Am I doing too much? Am I comfortable with bringing this back? If so, is really important. And that's something that we work on with clients all the time, because these big moments, these life events where you get that big pay raise is a big change in someone's life as well. And so we're here to help make sure that they can take advantage of that and live the life that they want, while also still being able to think about the big picture when it comes to their financial plan.
If you have questions, you should definitely reach out to this guy. Email is Ziad at gerberkawasaki.com, or you can call our office at 310-441-9393. And before we go, I want to open up, the comments to any questions that anybody watching might have. I also have a question here that was sent beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just read that off to start. So if I have some money saved, but there's so much uncertainty in the market right now, I'm not really sure that right now is the right time to invest. Wait, I think I'm reading this wrong. Is there a right time to invest? So that makes sense.
So you're asking, is there a right time to invest? Should I get invested right now if I have money saved? Is that what it is?
Yes, I think it's just because the market is so volatile. How do I know that right now is the right time to invest? Do I wait? Do I do it now?
Yeah, I totally understand that sentiment. This year has been one of the most volatile years, one of the most up and down years we've seen in market history. There is so much uncertainty going on, and so it can be very nerve-wracking to invest. And that's really the big reason why you should work with a financial advisor, is because we're here to help encourage you to get invested, and we have strategies in place to make sure that you are coming out on top no matter what happens. We're doing things like dollar cost averaging. We could be investing a little bit more conservatively. We're not necessarily 100% invested in the stock market at all times. But really, it's also just a question of, hey, what are you trying to accomplish with this money as well, right? If this is a goal that's a little bit closer, then we're going to be investing a lot differently than we would if it's a goal that's a lot further out. And so that's, again, just the importance of working with an advisor, getting that plan in place. We're here to help walk through your overall financial situation, walk through those goals and really what you're trying to accomplish with that money, and create a comprehensive financial plan for you moving forward that's customized to your specific situation.
Yes, I think that's really important, that it is customized to everyone's specific situation rather than just kind of being a general plan, because there's no way that could encompass everybody.
Yeah, definitely. There's no cookie cutter plan. Being in a cookie cutter plan isn't going to get you anywhere. You want to make sure that this plan is specific for you, because no individual is the same. And so, and that's exactly what we're here to help for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ziad, for doing this third episode. And thank you for
Yeah.
everybody watching our third episode of How To with Ziad. Let us know what you want us to talk about next week. We plan to do it on Thursday at 1 p.m. So we hope to see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Mia. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Of course.